Now we'll take question 4. Candidates, we thank you for your answers so far. We've got 2 final questions, and then we'll wrap up this round, go for a break, and come continue with the social sector. I want us to talk about agriculture for a moment. And for this 4th question, we'll start with you, Nanado. With the discovery of oil, it's feared that there will be a reduction in the attention that is given to agriculture. If you become president, how would you ensure that agriculture does not lose its strategic importance to our economy? 3 minutes.
Thank you, Kojo. And I think that already this fear that you are talking about is one that our country is already experiencing. 2008, the last year of the Kufuor era, agricultural growth was 8.7%. Today, it's less than 1%. And we're witnessing a serious decline, not only in agricultural output, but in agricultural productivity, largely because not sufficient attention is being taken it because everybody's eyes are now glued on these large sums of money that are coming from the oil discoveries that Kufuor made. And this is extremely important, that right at the outset of our nation as an oil producer, we recognize that the errors that other countries, especially in the African continent, have made about the sustenance of their agriculture, that we don't fall into that trap. We don't allow cocoa production to drop. We don't allow agricultural output to drop. That we continue the policies that have made, for instance, cocoa a major crop for export and ourselves, and that the efforts that we're making to become self-sufficient and to have enough food security, we intensify those measures. Take, for instance, the production of maize. It's a product that can be grown in all parts of our country, whether the savanna areas, the forest areas, the coastal areas. My government, God willing, will pay a great deal of attention in providing farmers, those who grow maize, with the necessary inputs, advanced seedlings, structured markets, to make sure that the farmer, even before he begins planting, knows that there's a market for his produce. We want to do this across the board in agriculture, with cashew nut, with shea nut. We want to do it with oil palm. All these are important crops in our agricultural basket that if we continue to support vigorously, we should be able to get the benefits of an improved, and of course, the food crop subsector. These are all areas that we need to be able to strengthen and continue to encourage, so that what is called the Dutch disease, the situation whereby everything is oil and nothing is about agriculture, which already we are beginning to witness in our country, that process is reversed.
I hear you. President Mahama, I'll give you 3 minutes to respond to that same question. As president, how would you ensure that agriculture does not lose its strategic importance to our economy?
Well, I'm ensuring that agriculture does not lose its strategic place in the economy already, because of the investments that this government has been making in agriculture. Phenomenal investments. We've invested in mechanization, distributed tractors to farmers. We're providing farmers with improved seeds. We're providing them with extension services and agrochemicals. We're providing them with the buffer stock management company, which buys the produce of them at a guaranteed price. And the farmers are reacting to this. When Nana says Dutch disease is already in operation, I wonder where they have come up with this. The total share of oil in our GDP for 2012 is 4.645 billion. Now, the total share of agriculture in our GDP is 15.547 billion at current market prices. The total share of services in our GDP is 33.237 billion. And so we are nowhere near Dutch disease. I don't know what the understanding of Dutch disease is. In all the food crop sectors, we have made phenomenal progress. Maize production in 2008 was 181,000, local rice was 181,000 metric tons in 2008. In 2010, it was 295,000 metric tons. Maize, which is our staple food, increased from 1.5 million metric tons in 2008 to 1.9 million metric tons in 2010. Cassava from 11.4 million tons to 14.2 million tons. The reduction in growth in agriculture is caused as a result of the slump in forestry and logging. There is a limit to how much timber you can cut. Timber is getting finished, and so forestry and logging's contribution to the agricultural basket has reduced, and that is what is accounting for the reduced growth in agriculture. Apart from that, there has been poaching in our waters, and so as a result of that, there is overfishing. And so the contribution of fisheries, marine fisheries, to agriculture has reduced, and that is the result, that is what is causing the slow growth in agriculture. But not to say that the nominal figures for food crop production are not increasing. Confuses me. If you take crops, in 2008, crops as a share of GDP was 6,435,000,000. In 2012, projected, it's 11,932,000,000. So agriculture is doing well. In 2011, we hit 1 million tons of cocoa.
Okay. I think your time is up now. I'm going to move to Dr. Abu Sakara and ask of him the very same question: what he will do to ensure that agric does not lose its strategic importance to our economy. 3 minutes.
Thank you very much. I think the gift of oil should be seen as the most important opportunity we have had to rapidly transform our agriculture by evolving it from a small-scale agriculture to a medium and larger-scale agriculture, because it provides us, one, with the investments to increase productivity in small-scale agriculture. It also provides us with the opportunity to save the thousands of tons of post-harvest losses, up to 30%, involved in moving produce from the farm to the homestead. At that point, our men and women, mostly our women and children, head carry 90% of what you eat on your table on their heads for the first 3-5 kilometers. We would invest in farm track roads to ensure that we take that burden from them and also reduce the post-harvest losses, even before we get to feeder roads. That will combine with intermediate transport, which will be an opportunity for transport enterprise for young men in the villages. The second thing that we will do, which will affect the larger scale commercial sector, is introduce a new plantation crop vigorously. We have been playing with the opportunity to have sugarcane as an additional plantation crop above 8 degrees latitude from Kintampo to the north here. We have the water, we have the land, and we have the sunlight. What we must ensure is that we do not disenfranchise small-scale farmers, and therefore, as custodians in the land of the land, they must have an equity shareholding in these larger-scale investments. This alone, over a 300,000 hectare investment, would bring 3 additional plants that will produce all the ethanol which we currently import. Every drop of ethanol that is used to treat your wound when you go to the hospital is imported. Every drop of ethanol in medicine is imported. Every drop of ethanol in alcoholic drinks is imported. We can cure this, and we can make sure that agriculture grows at a much faster rate than it has ever grown before. It is an opportunity, not a curse, if we discipline ourselves and use those oil resources prudently and effectively, and use them in a targeted way that will bring on board fertilizer production rapidly, not at the slow pace we are going now, by linking our agricultural fertilizer production with Togo, so we have complete phosphatic and nitrogen fertilizers, and that demands that we must have a railway system to carry it up north, reducing transaction costs for bringing food down, and also ensuring that we control water. Water is important. We're losing more than 2 million cubic meters per every 10 seconds, and that will bring 2 seasons in the north.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sakara. I'm going to give Mr. Hassan Ayariga 3 minutes to answer the same question for us, and then we'll take a very final question for this segment. Ms. Ayariga.
Thank you. I don't think and don't believe that discovering oil is to the benefit of Ghanaians. I believe that the oil is in the hands of foreigners, and the only thing that we have as Ghanaians and we control is agriculture. So if we have to look into agriculture, then we really have to look at it very well and then very critical. Engine of growth is agriculture, and I believe that Ghana has what it takes, even though as we grow in size, the demand for food increases. And I believe that for us to be able to live and then to be able to be self-reliant, we will have to intensify agricultural sector and make sure that we are able to operate on Operation Feed Yourself. That is to do and to grow the crops in Ghana and use that crops and foodstuff to be able to feed Ghanaians. First of all, we will look at the soil. What kind of crops or what kind of agricultural inputs that we will put up to help in the agriculture sector. In the beginning, we will make sure that we get researchers to identify in which area or town that what should be growing. So that if we have to grow in Boku, cassava, then we must be able to identify that cassava is growing in Boku. So when we grow in large quantities and medium scales and large scale farming, we will put silos all over the regions to be able to make sure that we control post-harvest loss, so that whatever we grow must not be rotten in the field. We will also build and construct many other roads, farmland roads, that will make sure that what we grow is taken out of the farm, and the farmers are given a guaranteed price to be able to control and have a price that they can sell in the market. Secondly, we look at fishing and cocoa. The present government has been able to increase cocoa to 1 million tons. We will make sure that we make it up to 2 million tons for Ghanaians to be able to grow faster. In doing that, we will make sure that the farmers get input supplies, guaranteed price, and we will make sure that they are able to access loans and facilities to help them farm without fear of losing their credit facilities that have been given to them. Other things that we need to do is to make sure that we give them subsidies and inputs and supply them with tractors, equipments, and mechanize agriculture in the way that what we produce is what we eat, so that we do not have to rely on foreign countries to import all that we eat and drink. We will also make sure that we juice our food products and our juice. Thank you.
Thank you for making my job so easy. Thank you very much. You want to do a rebuttal? You have 2 minutes, please.
Yeah, thank you. I want to use my first right of rebuttal. I just want to point out that a lot of the things my brother, the presidential candidate for CPP, talked about are happening already. We already have started to expand the amount of land under irrigation. And indeed, under the China Development Bank loan project, $100 million of that is devoted to starting the irrigation of the Accra Plains. We also asked reviving the Commander Sugar Factory, and I had the privilege only 2 days ago of signing the executive approval for the revival of the Commander Sugar Factory, which would generate sugarcane production around that area. There's also one in the northern area which is being promoted by the Brazilians to put 30,000 hectares of land under sugarcane production to produce ethanol for export and for domestic use. We also, as a result of the Youth in Agriculture program, are interesting the youth in agriculture and trying to train them to see it as a business opportunity and a job avenue that they can invest in. As a result of the decrease in marine fish production, we're encouraging aquaculture using the inland rivers. And I'm sure that you know all the projects that are going on with fish cages. Young people are being encouraged to go into that business. And that is supplementing fish production in the country. In the next 4 years, if you look at the various investments that we have lined up, $600 million is going to go into creating medium to large scale farmers. And most of these farmers are going to be small-scale farmers that are upgraded to medium and large-scale farmers instead of remaining stuck in peasant production. That is what the NDC government has for this country.
Who wants to? Doc, you want to do a rebuttal
Yes.
too? Please go ahead.
I think with regard to His Excellency's statement, the whole point of the Dutch disease is not that agriculture is not growing. It is that it is growing slower than the rate at which the economy is expanding in other sectors. And this is what our own statistics says. So what we are saying is that we will make investments beyond the magnitude of the investments that he's recommending to accelerate the growth of agriculture by a significantly larger amount. But not only that, to transform the agriculture. We have continued with agriculture as a small-scale agriculture. We need to transform it and develop it into a medium and large-scale agriculture so that it is a balanced agriculture. Those who think that having large-scale agriculture is not complementary with small-scale agriculture are mistaken. Because if you go back into the years when Zimbabwe had over 3 years food reserves, most of that food was produced on large-scale farms. What was important then was that the smaller scale farmers were riding on the back of infrastructure every 50 kilometers for provision and supply of inputs and marketing that also the larger scale farmers used. And what that made possible was the reduction of transaction costs for both the small and larger scale farmers. This is the kind of harmony and unison that we will seek to create. We cannot create that at small incremental levels in just the small scale sector alone. Thank you.
All right. Excuse me, you want another rebuttal? That will be your second. Please go ahead. 2 minutes.
First.
That will be. Oh, your first. Sorry.
Yes.
Please, 2 minutes. Go ahead.
Yes, I see a section of a group from the MPP wondering when we said that we will increase the production of 1 million tons to 2 million. Believe me, the NDC got it at 560, and they were able to increase it to 1 million tons. It is when we are serious as a nation and believe that we need to give incentives and support the agriculture sector, we will be able to produce for human consumption and for export. If you go to Enchi and look around the cocoa farms, you believe that we are producing more than 1 million tons. But because of a guarantee price from Cote d'Ivoire and neighboring countries, they smuggle our cocoa out of Ghana and send it to other countries. We are saying we will make sure that we make use of fallow lands that are left abandoned to make sure that agriculture becomes an attractive job and an attractive position where young people in this country will engage in agriculture. In Europe and other countries, 5 good farmers are able to feed a whole nation. Today, as we sit down in Ghana, if there is a disaster, I believe that we will not be able to survive because we have not been able to have food security for our people. Look around and find out what is it that we have as a nation that we can boast that we really have been able to do. If we are not being able to put up the 3 square miles for Ghanaians, why are we boasting as a nation? We have all the farmlands. When I was coming, look around the vicinity of Tamale, and when you are flying, look down and you see the wasted land that we have left for many years, and we do not make good use of it. We only want to be seen wearing tie and white-collar jobs. We don't believe that. We believe in Operation Feed Yourselves. And we believe that that is the best way to sustain the nation and be self-reliant, and we shall make it work. Thank you.
Thank you very much.